Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle, no matter how hard you try? Do you find yourself repeating the same patterns, wondering why you can't break free? Maybe it's the way you wake up each morning, feeling overwhelmed before the day even starts. Or perhaps it's that constant feeling of wanting something more, but not knowing what it is or how to get there. If you've ever asked yourself, why does my life feel so heavy? Or what am I doing wrong? You're not alone. Imagine you wake up in the morning, your mind cluttered with worries and distractions. You rush through your day, but at the end, you realize you haven't achieved what you truly wanted. It's not because you lack the ability, but because of small, unnoticed habits that are sabotaging your life without you even realizing it. Sounds familiar, right? We all have habits that hold us back, but understanding them can be the first step toward freedom. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore life-changing wisdom through simple yet profound insights. Today, we'll dive into some common habits that many of us unknowingly allow to sabotage our happiness and success. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to break free and start living a more meaningful life. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribes, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more transformative content. We would love for you to be part of our growing community. The good news is that these habits can be broken. It might take time, but with awareness and action, you can regain control of your life. So, stay with us throughout this video. By the end, you'll understand the root of these habits and how to replace them with healthier, more mindful choices. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle, no matter how hard you try? Do you find yourself repeating the same patterns, wondering why you can't break free? Maybe it's the way you wake up each morning, feeling overwhelmed before the day even starts. Or perhaps it's that constant feeling of wanting something more, but not knowing what it is or how to get there. If you've ever asked yourself, why does my life feel so heavy? Or what am I doing wrong? You're not alone. Imagine you wake up in the morning, your mind cluttered with worries and distractions. You rush through your day, but at the end, you realize you haven't achieved what you truly wanted. It's not because you lack the ability, but because of small, unnoticed habits that are sabotaging your life without you even realizing it. Sounds familiar, right? We all have habits that hold us back, but understanding them can be the first step toward freedom. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore life-changing wisdom through simple yet profound insights. Today, we'll dive into some common habits that many of us unknowingly allow to sabotage our happiness and success. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to break free and start living a more meaningful life. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribes, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more transformative content. We would love for you to be part of our growing community. The good news is that these habits can be broken. It might take time, but with awareness and action, you can regain control of your life. So, stay with us throughout this video. By the end, you'll understand the root of these habits and how to replace them with healthier, more mindful choices. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle, no matter how hard you try? Do you find yourself repeating the same patterns, wondering why you can't break free? Maybe it's the way you wake up each morning, feeling overwhelmed before the day even starts. Or perhaps it's that constant feeling of wanting something more, but not knowing what it is or how to get there. If you've ever asked yourself, why does my life feel so heavy? Or what am I doing wrong? You're not alone. Imagine you wake up in the morning, your mind cluttered with worries and distractions. You rush through your day, but at the end, you realize you haven't achieved what you truly wanted. It's not because you lack the ability, but because of small, unnoticed habits that are sabotaging your life without you even realizing it. Sounds familiar, right? We all have habits that hold us back, but understanding them can be the first step toward freedom. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore life-changing wisdom through simple yet profound insights. Today, we'll dive into some common habits that many of us unknowingly allow to sabotage our happiness and success. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to break free and start living a more meaningful life. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribes, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more transformative content. We would love for you to be part of our growing community. The good news is that these habits can be broken. It might take time, but with awareness and action, you can regain control of your life. So, stay with us throughout this video. By the end, you'll understand the root of these habits and how to replace them with healthier, more mindful choices. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Overthinking, the mind's endless chatter. The mind, my friend, is like a restless river. It flows in many directions, pulling you here and there without ever stopping. But the more you try to control the flow, the more it struggles to break free. This is what happens when you overthink. You may feel like your mind is always busy, racing from one thought to the next. It can feel overwhelming, like you are trapped in your own thoughts, constantly trying to solve problems that may not even exist. The practice of overthinking has become so common that it is often mistaken for productivity. But the truth is, overthinking is like a storm in the mind. It clouds your judgment, wears you down, and steals your peace. The moment you think you've solved one problem, another one appears, and before long, your mind is full of worries, doubts, and what-ifs. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever caught yourself spiraling into thoughts that seem endless, where each thought builds upon the last until you're completely overwhelmed? Overthinking feeds on uncertainty. The more you question and doubt, the more it grows. It's as though the mind becomes a maze with no clear way out. Then the harder you try to find answers, the more lost you feel. But here's the truth. Your mind does not need to solve everything. Not everything requires an answer. Overthinking often happens because we're trying to find control in places where control doesn't exist. Life flows in its own rhythm, and you can't always predict or plan every step. Just like a leaf in the wind, sometimes it is better to surrender to the flow. In Buddhism, there's a simple teaching that reminds us of the impermanence of all things. Every thought, every emotion, every situation you face will eventually change. The key is not to become attached to them. When you overthink, you become attached to your thoughts as though they are permanent truths. You believe that these thoughts define who you are or that they hold the answers to life's problems. But in reality, they are just passing clouds in the sky. Imagine if you could simply let go of those thoughts. Imagine if, instead of overthinking, you could take a step back and watch your thoughts like a gentle observer, without judging them, without getting caught in them. When you detach from your thoughts, you stop giving them the power to control your mind and emotions. You free yourself from the endless cycle of worry, doubt, and uncertainty. In that moment of stillness, you realize that your true nature is peaceful, clear, and calm, not trapped in the chaos of the mind. One of the most effective ways to break free from overthinking is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply being present, fully aware of the moment without distraction. It is about focusing your attention on what is happening right now, rather than getting lost in the what-ifs of the future or the regrets of the past. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to see your thoughts for what they are: fleeting, impermanent, and not necessarily true. They come and go, but they don't define you. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, try this. Take a deep breath, focus on your breath, and let your thoughts come and go without judgment. Notice the sensations in your body, the rise and fall of your chest, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the air in your lungs. This simple practice can bring you back to the present moment, where overthinking has no power. It is in this stillness that you can find clarity. Overthinking also comes from fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of not being good enough, fear of what others might think. These fears are born from the mind's desire to control everything. But fear, like all emotions, is temporary. It is not a reflection of your true self. It's just a reaction to uncertainty, and it can be released with practice. In Buddhism, we learn to face our fears directly, without running from them. We observe them, understand their source, and then let them go. Fear only has the power you give it. When you stop feeding your fear with overthinking, it will lose its grip on you. Another way to overcome overthinking is to simplify your life. The more you fill your life with distractions, the more your mind will have to chase after them. The more you chase after distractions, the more you'll fuel your tendency to overthink. Take a moment to evaluate your life and see where you can simplify. Do you really need to do everything that you think you must do? Can you say no to some things? Can you give yourself space to breathe, to reflect, and to simply be? Overthinking often leads to anxiety, and anxiety keeps you stuck in the past or future. But true peace comes when you stop living in the what could have been and start embracing what is. When you learn to live in the present moment, you no longer need to overthink because you realize that everything you need is already within you. You are enough. The moment is enough. And in this space of acceptance, you can let go of the need for constant mental chatter. Buddhism teaches us to practice detachment, not in the sense of not caring, but in the sense of not being controlled by our desires or fears. When we are detached from overthinking, we can see the world as it truly is, without the filters of our judgments, fears, and expectations. We begin to understand that thoughts are just thoughts, not truths. They are like passing clouds, and we don't need to chase them or hold on to them. One of the most beautiful aspects of mindfulness is that it teaches you to cultivate a sense of compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You don't need to be hard on yourself when your mind races. Instead, you can gently bring it back to the present, with kindness and understanding. Just as you would comfort a friend who is struggling, you can comfort yourself in moments of overthinking. It is in this gentle acceptance that healing begins. The next time you feel the pull of overthinking, remind yourself, you don't need to solve everything right now. Take a step back, breathe, and focus on the present moment. Trust that the answers will come when you are ready, not when you force them. Overthinking only creates more problems. Stillness creates peace. So, remember, my friend, the path to overcoming overthinking is not to fight it, but to embrace stillness. When you let go of the need to control every thought, you will find that your mind becomes quieter and your heart becomes lighter. Through mindfulness, detachment, and compassion, you can free yourself from the endless cycle of overthinking and step into a life of peace, clarity, and joy. Neglecting the present, escaping through distractions. In the constant rush of life, we often forget the most precious moment we have, the present. It's easy to get caught up in the past, remembering things that have already passed, or thinking about the future, which is yet to come. But the present, this moment right here, is all we truly have. When we are not in the present, we become lost in the distractions around us, seeking an escape from our true selves. Yet, in running away from the now, we miss the beauty and peace that can only be found in this moment. The present is where life happens. It's where your breath is, your thoughts arise, and your heart beats. This very moment is a gift. But how often do we squander it? We fill our days with distractions. Our phones, social media, television, endless to-do lists, and somehow, without even realizing it, we forget to truly live. Imagine this. You sit down for a meal, but instead of savoring the taste and feeling the nourishment, your mind is elsewhere. You think about work, about a conversation you had earlier, or maybe you're scrolling through your phone. The food, which should be a moment of joy, becomes just something you do to fill your stomach. This is how we live when we neglect the present. We are often unaware of the small blessings right in front of us because we're either caught up in thoughts about the past or anxiously anticipating the future. Escaping through distractions is a habit that traps us in a cycle. We may think that when we are busy with our phones or work, we are being productive. But in reality, we are only running from the discomfort of being with ourselves. The mind craves something to hold on to, something to escape to, and so it fills the emptiness with things that pull us further away from the moment. These distractions create a sense of busyness that keeps us moving, but they rarely bring fulfillment or peace. Buddhism teaches us about mindfulness, the practice of being fully present, aware, and engaged in the here and now. Mindfulness allows us to truly experience life as it is, without judgment or attachment. It teaches us to be with our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without needing to escape from them. But this is not easy. Our minds are conditioned to jump from one thing to the next. We are so used to being distracted, to filling every moment with noise, that it can feel uncomfortable to simply be still. Yet, it is in that stillness that we find true peace. The problem with neglecting the present is that we are constantly searching for happiness outside of ourselves, in things, achievements, or even people. We think that happiness will come once we finish a task or reach a goal. But the truth is, happiness is already here, in the present moment. It's in the way the sun feels on your skin, in the sound of the wind rustling the trees, in the simple act of breathing. The more we neglect these moments, the further we move away from our own peace. So, how do we break free from the habit of distraction? The first step is awareness. Notice when your mind drifts away from the present. Are you thinking about something that happened in the past, or worrying about what might happen in the future? Acknowledge it without judgment. Just observe, and then gently bring your attention back to the present moment. You can start with something simple, like taking a few deep breaths, feeling the air enter and leave your body, or focusing on the sensations around you. It can be helpful to start small. When you're drinking a cup of tea, don't just sip it absent-mindedly. Pay attention to the warmth of the cup in your hands, the aroma, the taste. Feel the sensation of the liquid as it touches your lips. Engage all your senses. In doing so, you create a moment of mindfulness, a moment where you are truly present. Another practice is to set aside time each day to simply be still. You don't need to meditate for hours. Just 5 minutes of sitting quietly can make a big difference. Focus on your breath, on the sounds around you, or even on a mantra. The key is to let go of the distractions and just be. Over time, this simple practice can help you reconnect with the present moment and with yourself. It's also important to recognize the role of distractions in your life. Are they helping you, or are they preventing you from living fully? Are you using distractions as a way to avoid dealing with deeper emotions or fears? Many of us turn to distractions to numb ourselves, to avoid feelings of anxiety, loneliness, or sadness. But in doing so, we miss the opportunity to heal and grow. Facing our discomforts, rather than running from them, is what leads to true peace and freedom. Buddhism teaches us that suffering arises from our attachment to things, and distractions are often a form of attachment. We become attached to the idea of always being busy, of always having something to do or think about. But true freedom comes when we let go of these attachments and simply experience life as it is, without the need for constant stimulation. By practicing mindfulness and learning to be present, we can break free from the habit of distraction. We can begin to truly experience our lives in all their beauty and simplicity. And in doing so, we can find a deep sense of peace that no distraction can ever take away. The more we focus on the present, the more we realize that there is no need to escape. Everything we need is already here, in this moment. The key is to stop running, to stop filling every moment with noise and distractions, and to simply be with what is. When we do this, we find that life becomes richer, more meaningful, and full of peace. And when we truly experience the present, we begin to live fully, in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. In this busy world, it's easy to forget the power of now, but the present moment is all we have. By letting go of distractions and practicing mindfulness, we can stop escaping from our own lives and start living them fully. The choice is yours. Will you continue to run, or will you stay and embrace the beauty of the present? Toxic comparisons, the source of inner turmoil. In the vast ocean of life, there are many boats floating by. Some boats seem to sail smoothly, while others may struggle against the waves. You look around and begin to compare. You wonder, why is my boat not as fast? Why am I not as happy, as successful, as peaceful as they are? This is the habit of comparison, and it is one of the most powerful ways to sabotage your peace of mind. We live in a world filled with images of others. Social media, conversations, advertisements, even the smallest moments in life. They all seem to hold up a mirror, reflecting a version of success, happiness, or beauty that we feel we should be striving for. This is a dangerous habit. Comparing ourselves to others keeps us from seeing the beauty and potential in our own lives. It causes unnecessary pain and suffering. When we compare ourselves to someone else, we are often comparing only a part of the story. We see someone's achievements, their successes, the smiles they share. What we don't see are their struggles, their pain, the battles they fight in private. But in our minds, we create a complete picture of their life, one that is perfect, while ours feels imperfect. This is the illusion that comparison creates. But do you know what happens when we constantly compare ourselves to others? We forget who we truly are. The essence of our being is buried under the weight of what we think we should be. We lose our individuality in the sea of expectations. Each person has their own unique path, and just like a flower grows in its own time and season, so too does your life unfold in its own unique way. Buddhism teaches us that suffering arises from desire and attachment. When we desire to be like others, or to have what they have, we are attached to an illusion. This illusion leads us to dissatisfaction, because no matter how much we try, we can never fully be someone else. The only way to end this suffering is to let go of comparison and embrace our own journey. To understand this, let's reflect for a moment. Imagine you are sitting in a peaceful garden, looking at the flowers. Some flowers are tall, others are small. Some have bright colors, others are more subtle. Each flower is beautiful in its own way. You don't compare them, you simply appreciate their uniqueness. This is how we should view ourselves. Instead of looking at others and thinking we should be more like them, we should focus on our own growth, our own beauty, and our own journey. The problem with comparison is that it traps us in a loop of negativity. When we see others as better than us, we start to feel inadequate. We feel like we are falling behind, like we are not good enough. This belief becomes our reality. But the truth is, no one is better than anyone else. We are all equal in the eyes of the universe. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, our moments of joy and pain, and our individual paths to walk. Now, take a moment and think about it. When was the last time you compared yourself to someone else? How did it make you feel? Did it bring you peace? Or did it make you anxious? Did it help you grow? Or did it hold you back? When we constantly measure our worth against others, we are rejecting the truth of who we are. The only person we should compare ourselves to is the person we were yesterday. Have we grown? Have we learned? Have we become a little bit better today than we were yesterday? This is the only measure of success that matters. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful teaching known as mudita, which means sympathetic joy. It is the practice of being genuinely happy for the success and happiness of others without feeling jealous or envious. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and instead focus on feeling joy for their achievements, we free ourselves from the chains of competition and self-doubt. We realize that someone else's success does not take away from our own potential. There is enough room for everyone to succeed and be happy. It can be difficult to break free from the habit of comparison, especially in a world where we are constantly surrounded by reminders of others' lives. But the first step is awareness. Notice when the thoughts of comparison arise. Instead of feeding them, gently let them go. Replace them with gratitude for your own life and your own journey. The practice of mindfulness can help in this process. When you feel the urge to compare, pause for a moment and breathe. Focus on the present moment. Notice the thoughts and feelings that arise, but do not judge them. Simply observe. This will help you create space between you and the thoughts of comparison, allowing them to pass without affecting your peace of mind. Remember, life is not a race. It is not about being ahead of others or having more than others. It is about being true to yourself, walking your own path, and finding peace within. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward greater wisdom and understanding. Your life is unique, and it is unfolding in its own time. Let go of the habit of comparing yourself to others. Trust in your own journey. When you do, you will find that peace and happiness are not dependent on what others are doing or achieving. They come from within you, from embracing who you are and where you are right now. It's important to also understand that the practice of letting go of comparison is not about being indifferent to others. It's about recognizing the beauty and worth in your own life while still appreciating the successes of others. It's about finding balance. You can celebrate someone else's achievements without diminishing your own. Comparison robs us of the joy that comes from simply being ourselves. By letting go of this habit, you open the door to self-acceptance, gratitude, and true peace. So, take a moment to reflect. What would it feel like if you stopped comparing yourself to others? What would it be like to fully embrace your own path, without the need to measure it against someone else's? This is the key to finding freedom from the inner turmoil of comparison. And remember, just like the flowers in the garden, you are enough as you are. You don't need to be anyone else. You don't need to have what others have. All you need is to be present, to embrace your unique journey, and to grow in your own time. When you do this, you will find peace, you will find joy, and most importantly, you will find yourself. Procrastination, the thief of progress. In the stillness of a quiet morning, when the sun begins to rise, a thought arises in the mind. Today, I will begin something important. Yet, as the hours pass, that thought is buried beneath the noise of distractions, and the day slips away. Tomorrow becomes the promise, but tomorrow never arrives. Have you ever found yourself in this cycle? The endless postponing of what you know must be done, the gentle whisper of procrastination taking hold, pulling you further away from your true potential. Procrastination is not simply a matter of laziness, as it is often misunderstood. It is much deeper. It is a force that holds the mind captive in fear, in doubt, in the illusion of perfection. It convinces us that the work ahead is too difficult, too overwhelming, or that we are not yet ready to begin. It encourages us to wait for the right moment, which, as time reveals, never truly arrives. This habit, subtle in its presence, can steal our peace, our time, and our future. Buddhism teaches us about the impermanence of all things. Nothing lasts forever, not even our thoughts, our desires, or the moment we are currently in. Yet procrastination tricks us into thinking that we have endless time. The future, we believe, is a safe place to postpone our actions, to delay the things that matter most. But the truth is, the future is built on the choices we make today. And if today is spent in waiting, the future becomes just another day of missed opportunities. Look at the nature of a tree. It does not hesitate to grow, to stretch its branches towards the sky. It does not wait for the perfect weather. It does not ponder the risk of the wind. The tree simply grows, day by day, one small step at a time. If the tree could speak, it would say, "There is no tomorrow, only today." The same can be said of our actions. If we wait for tomorrow to start, we miss the opportunity of today. The mind, when left unchecked, finds refuge in distraction. Procrastination often thrives in moments of unease, in spaces where we feel unsure or uncomfortable. We tell ourselves, "I'll do it later," as if this distant later holds the key to our peace. But in truth, it is the avoidance that keeps us stuck. It is the refusal to face the challenge, to step into the unknown, that feeds the cycle. Like a river flowing over rocks, we can either choose to flow around the obstacles, or we can face them, understanding that the journey ahead will shape us, that the discomfort is the path to growth. Why do we procrastinate? Perhaps it is fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of the unknown. But fear, like all things, is a transient guest. It comes, but it will pass. The more we embrace the present moment, the less power fear holds over us. To procrastinate is to avoid life's challenges, to avoid the discomfort that leads to change. Yet, true peace comes when we face those challenges directly, when we step into the moment without hesitation. Consider the way a small child learns to walk. There is no procrastination in their steps. They fall, they rise, they stumble again, but they continue to move forward. There is no fear of failure, only the simple desire to keep going. The child does not wait until they are perfectly balanced, for they know that the act of walking itself will teach them balance. In the same way, we must approach our own work and dreams with that same courage. It is not about achieving perfection or waiting until everything is right. It is about starting, taking that first step, even when we are unsure. The key is to embrace the process of learning, of doing, and of being. Perfection is an illusion. The path is the goal. What would it be like, we wonder, if we could see the world through the eyes of the child? If we could drop the weight of perfectionism, the fear of failure, and simply begin? Perhaps this is the practice we must cultivate, to take action, however small, without hesitation. A Zen master does not wait for the perfect moment to meditate, to teach, or to walk the path. The practice is the moment itself, and each step is part of the journey. Buddhism encourages mindfulness, and mindfulness begins with the present. When we procrastinate, we allow our thoughts to wander to places that are not real, to futures that have not yet arrived. We become disconnected from the now, and in doing so, we forget the power of the present moment. When we choose to take action now, we are fully present. We are not lost in a future that may never be, nor are we stuck in a past that cannot be changed. So, how do we break free from procrastination? The first step is awareness. We must recognize when we are avoiding something, when we are putting off what needs to be done. The next step is to embrace the discomfort of starting. When we feel the urge to procrastinate, we must ask ourselves, what is it that I am afraid of? What is the discomfort I am avoiding? Once we face the discomfort, it loses its power over us. From a Buddhist perspective, every action we take is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. Whether it is washing the dishes, writing a report, or facing an uncomfortable conversation, each act can be approached with full attention and presence. Instead of allowing the mind to wander into distractions, we focus on the task at hand, understanding that this moment is the only moment we truly have. In doing so, procrastination loses its grip, and we begin to move forward with purpose. The habit of procrastination can be broken. It begins with the simple act of doing, of taking one step forward, even if that step feels small or insignificant. The important thing is that it is a step, and every step brings us closer to the life we desire. So, do not wait for tomorrow is not promised. The time is now. Step into the moment, face the task before you, and watch as procrastination fades away like morning mist in the warmth of the sun. Unhealthy attachments. When comfort becomes a cage, in the stillness of our minds, there exists a subtle force that tugs at us, pulling us towards certain things, people, places, possessions. This force, known as attachment, is a part of human nature. It is a way our hearts try to find stability in a world that is always changing. But what happens when this attachment grows too strong? What happens when comfort, security, and familiarity start to hold us back rather than help us move forward? Picture this. You have a favorite chair at home, one that you always sit in after a long day. It's comfortable, familiar, and gives you a sense of relaxation. But over time, you notice that sitting in this chair has become more than just a moment of rest. It becomes a place where you avoid your deeper feelings, where you hide from life's uncertainties. It becomes a crutch, something you rely on too much, and eventually, this comfort begins to trap you. In the same way, attachment to the things around us, whether it's a relationship, a career, or even a certain way of living, can hold us in place. At first, these attachments may bring comfort, but as they grow, they begin to shape our identity and define who we think we are. We might begin to believe that without these things, we are lost or incomplete. But the truth, as many wise teachers have shown, is that these attachments are an illusion. They are not who we truly are. We are not our possessions, our roles, or our relationships. We are not the things that we hold so tightly to. We are the awareness that experiences them, the consciousness that notices them. The Buddha teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. When we attach ourselves to something, we create a bond that eventually causes pain. Why? Because everything in this world is impermanent. People change, things break, and circumstances shift. When we tie our happiness to these fleeting things, we are setting ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. This doesn't mean we shouldn't enjoy life's comforts or cherish the people around us. Far from it. The Buddhist teachings ask us to cultivate a deep understanding of impermanence so we can enjoy life without clinging to it. We can love, we can create, we can experience, all while remembering that nothing lasts forever. When we attach ourselves too strongly to anything, we resist the natural flow of life, and we suffer as a result. Let's take a moment to think about this. What are you holding onto so tightly that it's becoming a cage? Is it a relationship that you fear will end? A job that you've spent years climbing towards, but it no longer brings you peace? A habit or a comfort zone that keeps you stuck, even though it no longer serves you? Ask yourself, what if you let go? What would life be like if you didn't hold onto this attachment with so much fear and resistance? Letting go doesn't mean abandoning what you love. It means no longer allowing it to control you. It means recognizing that you are whole, even without it. When you stop clinging to what you think you need, you make space for new opportunities to arise. You open yourself to change, to growth, to transformation. You stop being a prisoner of your desires and instead become the master of your own path. The Buddha speaks of this freedom in his teachings on non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting your happiness depend on external things. You become like a leaf floating on the surface of a stream, carried by the current, but never stuck. The practice of letting go can be challenging, especially when it comes to things that are deeply meaningful to us. But think of it this way. The more you hold on, the more tightly the chains of attachment bind you. To break free, you must first recognize where you are holding on too tightly. One of the simplest ways to begin this practice is through mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you become aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment. When you feel the urge to cling to something, take a breath. Notice the feeling in your body and your mind. Ask yourself, is this attachment helping me or harming me? By becoming aware of these attachments, you begin to see them for what they are, temporary and impermanent. Through mindfulness, you can cultivate a sense of freedom in your life. You can begin to notice when you are attaching to something out of fear, habit, or comfort, and slowly release it. With time, you'll notice that life becomes lighter. You'll feel less burdened by the weight of your attachments and more open to the flow of life as it is. In Buddhism, there is a practice called non-attachment, which means not clinging to anything, whether it's your thoughts, your feelings, or your possessions. It's about living with a deep sense of gratitude for what you have, without the need to hold onto it forever. This doesn't mean rejecting things, but rather enjoying them without becoming possessive. It's a balance of love and detachment. Think of it like the way a tree grows. A tree has roots, but it doesn't hold onto the earth with a tight grip. The roots provide stability, but the tree allows the wind to move its branches and the rain to fall upon it. The tree accepts the seasons, knowing that the leaves will fall and new ones will grow. In the same way, you can grow in life without clinging to what you think you must have to be happy. Attachment often arises out of fear. The fear that if we let go, we'll lose something important. But when we look closely, we see that fear is often based on an illusion. We are afraid that if we let go, we won't survive, or that we'll be left with nothing. But in truth, when we let go, we make space for what is truly meaningful to come into our lives. Non-attachment is not about giving up everything you love or care for. It is about finding freedom in the things you love. It's about not allowing them to define who you are. When we let go of attachment, we are not left with emptiness. Instead, we find an openness that allows for new experiences and deeper connections with the world around us. So, what does it mean to be free from unhealthy attachments? It means you can love your family, your friends, and your work without becoming dependent on them for your happiness. It means you can enjoy material comforts, but you no longer live in fear of losing them. It means you can face the uncertainties of life with peace, knowing that whatever comes, you will be okay. In the end, the practice of non-attachment is about returning to our true nature. It is about letting go of everything that is not essential, so that we can see clearly who we are beneath all the layers of expectation, fear, and desire. When we free ourselves from unhealthy attachments, we become like the sky, vast, open, and boundless, able to welcome all experiences without clinging to them. By letting go of the things that weigh us down, we create space for true happiness, freedom, and inner peace. It is a path that leads us away from the suffering of attachment and toward the liberation of the heart. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, a reminder that the more we let go, the more we gain. Living in fear, breaking free from self-doubt. Fear, it can feel like a shadow that follows you, never truly leaving. It quietly creeps into your thoughts, telling you that you are not enough, that you can't succeed, or that you will fail. The most powerful thing about fear is that it often doesn't appear in the form of an enemy you can clearly see. It whispers to you, subtly guiding your decisions, and shapes the way you see the world. But what if fear isn't something to be afraid of? What if fear is a signpost, pointing you in the direction of what you need to let go of? In life, fear often arises from the unknown, the uncertainty of what might happen. We fear failure, rejection, and the loss of control. But what is fear, really? It is nothing more than a thought, a projection of what could go wrong. It is born from the mind's habit of creating stories that aren't real. But as a Zen master might tell you, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Fear does not exist in the present moment. It is simply a shadow of what might be, clouding our ability to live fully in the here and now. Let's consider the nature of fear in a simple way. Think of a child who is afraid to walk into a dark room. The room is empty, yet the child imagines monsters lurking in the shadows. The child's fear isn't about the room itself. It is about the imagined dangers created by the mind. Fear is often the same way. We fear situations, outcomes, or challenges that have not yet occurred, and sometimes may never occur at all. By dwelling on the imagined future, we fail to see the present moment clearly. This is where self-doubt begins. When you doubt yourself, you allow fear to dictate your actions. You wonder, what if I fail? What if people don't accept me? What if I'm not good enough? These questions are born from fear, not from truth. They distort your perception and prevent you from taking action. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from craving and attachment. In this case, we are attached to the idea of how things should be, and we crave certainty. But life is impermanent. Things will not always go according to plan, and that's okay. Fear holds us back because it convinces us that we must always have control. But control is an illusion. In truth, we have very little control over the events of life. We can control our actions, our reactions, and our mindset, but we cannot control the outcome. When you live in fear, you are constantly trying to control every aspect of your life, and this leads to anxiety. You may hesitate to try new things or take risks because the fear of the unknown is stronger than the possibility of growth. However, when we embrace fear, something powerful happens. Fear becomes a teacher, not an enemy. It shows us where we are holding back, where we need to grow, and where we need to let go. In Buddhist teachings, there is a concept called non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean that you do not care or that you should abandon your desires. It simply means that you do not cling to them. You do not let them control you. This principle is essential in overcoming fear. When you let go of the need to control every outcome, fear loses its power over you. To truly break free from self-doubt, you must first acknowledge that it exists. The mind likes to keep us in a constant state of uncertainty, and self-doubt is one of the tools it uses to keep us stuck. But self-doubt is not a reflection of your true self. It is simply a voice in your head that you don't need to listen to. You are not your doubts. You are not your fears. You are the awareness behind them, the stillness that can observe them without being consumed by them. One of the most effective ways to combat self-doubt and fear is through mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you bring yourself into the present moment. You begin to notice when fear arises, and instead of reacting to it, you simply observe it. When you stop identifying with fear, it begins to lose its grip on you. You realize that fear is just another passing thought, like any other. In meditation, we practice sitting with discomfort. This discomfort often comes in the form of thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations. Fear, self-doubt, anxiety, they are all part of this discomfort. But by allowing ourselves to sit with these feelings, without judgment or resistance, we begin to transform them. In the same way, when fear arises in our everyday lives, we can observe it with mindfulness, acknowledging its presence without letting it dictate our actions. Another important step in overcoming fear is to cultivate self-compassion. When you doubt yourself, be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that it's okay to be imperfect. You don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and success. Buddha taught that all beings are worthy of compassion, including ourselves. So when fear tells you that you're not good enough, respond with kindness. It's okay. I am learning. I am growing. This simple act of self-compassion can dissolve much of the fear and doubt that you carry within. Let go of the need to prove yourself. One of the biggest sources of fear is the desire to be accepted by others, to live up to external expectations. This craving for validation often leads to anxiety and self-doubt. But the truth is, you don't need anyone's approval to live a fulfilling life. You are already enough, just as you are. When you stop seeking approval, you free yourself from the cycle of fear and self-doubt. You begin to act from a place of inner confidence, not external validation. In Buddhism, the concept of right action encourages us to act in alignment with our values, not out of fear or desire for reward. When you live with integrity, doing what is right for you and others, you will find that fear fades into the background. You begin to act from a place of wisdom rather than fear. And when you act from wisdom, you find peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. Remember, fear will always be a part of life. It is a natural response to the unknown, but it doesn't have to control you. By practicing mindfulness, non-attachment, and self-compassion, you can break free from the chains of fear and self-doubt. When you no longer identify with fear, you are free to live authentically, to pursue your dreams without hesitation, and to embrace life as it comes, fully and with open arms.